Hello, everybody. This is the What is on the Tabletop podcast. My name is Symbio Joe. You can call me Joe. And my guest today is very significant to my work and overall a very inspirational guy himself. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Aaron, also known as the storyboard guy on Instagram, and I make things,
Yes,
mainly smashing toys
but
together.
that is playing it down a bit. We will hopefully come to that, but
Yeah, okay.
but your work was significant so far to me that you introduced me to the Weird Miniatures Other Side miniature line, which
Yeah,
is, I throw it up. Your first was the an alternative to the Ravener sculpt, which is
yeah.
a centipede-like being
I think
of,
they're called a Karkanoi, I
yeah,
think.
the Carcanoid. They
In the
have
yeah,
their units are named in a way that I will stumble over their names a lot.
I could probably
There's
help you.
yeah, a lot of consonants in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I followed your route and I looked into them myself, and I was like, okay, good. There are some design aspects in there that I like, and some of them that I don't like. And I ended up with the speckled skulkers
yep,
and the more chameleon-like looking
yep. I
striped or
I
or
think I'm a bit like you with the weird minis. There's a lot I like about them, but usually the where they fall down for me is their faces and heads.
yes,
Um,
their faces are quite comical, and that was the
yeah,
first I did cat out because my most praised work until today I did with the, I think it is the striped? No, it must be the speckled skulkers because the striped skulkers are the chameleon-like ones, and I turned them into Gene Stealer Deepkin, and ironically, or well, not ironically, but by chance, they found their way back to Australia to Quarantine Miniatures, who is taking good care of them with his Piranha Gene Stealers or Tyranids, throwing
okay.
them up real quick. And yeah, I was my intention was not to paint them, and I followed the Creature Conference stream by Modern Synthesis, and the wonderful Brad Evans popped up there and was talking about his Piranha Tyranids, and I was like, hey, I sent them to you if they want them to, and it turned out he was Australian, so I guess full circle there.
Circle, yes. I forgot to mention I'm from Australia, but I don't know if the
Yeah.
accent gives it away. Um,
Yes.
yeah. No, the weird other side minis. Because yeah, I was starting to get into collecting the Tyranids, and I like the idea of the 40k Tyranids. I like the concept, but I don't like a lot of the miniatures. I think they're a bit boring and unimaginative, and so yeah, I was trawling for alternatives, and the weird other side miniatures popped up, and I don't think the game sold very well. So in Australia, they're on closeout sale. You can pick them up really cheap. So yeah, it was yeah. No, anything's cheaper than Games Workshop at normal prices.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
these things are on sale as well, and it's like they're a bargain. And when you hold that Karkanoi up against a Games Workshop Ravener, boy, you just go, wow, the sculpt and the detail is so much better. The posing, yeah. Unfortunately, I got them after I'd bought a box of Raveners, so but they're still there. I still have to do something with them. So
Uh,
yeah,
I suppose so, because you are doing a lot, and when it comes to Tyranid design, you lean a lot into articulate animals. It is very shellfish looking, or very insectoid looking, or a mix of it, and it looks very realistic in some way. In some way, I'm getting vibes from the old horror movies of black and white when people were running away from close-ups of tarantulas and ants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think it is the one of the recent ones, the green beetle with a cannon on its back.
My exocrines.
Your
Yeah.
exocrine, or
Yeah.
exocrine, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I'm a bit old. I'm mid-40s, and so I've I've been into 40K since Rogue Trader, original Rogue Trader days. Um, but it was so expensive as a high school student to collect the minis. But then Titanicus came along, and Epic, and that seemed a lot more manageable to someone with not a lot of pocket money, a teenager with not a lot of pocket money. And yeah, so Epic was my thing in the 90s, um, until they did second edition and killed it. um, but yeah, and so that exocrine, because I don't like the modern designs for the Tyranids, and I remember what they looked like in the Epic days. They seemed a lot more interesting to me, and less
A,
uniform.
a lot
You know
more
that.
snail-like, those creatures.
Well, yeah, they had a lot more different sort of bioforms. Like one of my favorite modern Tyranids are like the zoanthropes and the neurothropes, because they're different. You know, they're not that same sort of, oh, it's got to have, 6 arms and it locomotes with hooves. Um, so yeah, I sort of went back to the exocrine from Epic, and that miniature is just kind of like a slug with a gun on it, on its head, and it's a very sort of, in itself, it's a cheesy sort of clunky looking design as well. So I just kind of fixed it. That's how I think of things. Like I try and fix them, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, just
It's just kind
getting.
of updating it and modernizing it, and yeah, trying to make it look, because like you get the armor cast like versions of them where they'd upsize that epic miniature and for 40K, and because you're upsizing that little thing, it just looks, the details are clunky and chunky. Yeah, and my thing is I try to make them look like they'd be functional animals, yeah.
Yes,
So
they
there's
as
sort
that
of familiarity with them. There's something familiar with them. They look like they would work. You could believe that they would be there with a big gun attached to their carapace, Yeah.
I think you not only did you try, I think you succeeded the whole way down. It is with the detail and with the colors, and as for Hydra pointed out some time ago, that nature colors dangerous parts of the animal in another color, or that red is the color of nature to show where danger is, to warn
Mm.
other creatures, and I think you do that quite well with the
But
coloring of your Tyranids.
yeah, well, that's kind of a fundamental sort of design theory for me, is like, especially when you're doing aliens or vehicles or something, to try and make things believable and make people sort of like find an attachment to it. It's like you try and you ground it in something that's familiar. and then you bring a kind of a new idea to that. But and if you go too new, too out there, people go, oh, okay, because they don't recognize it and they don't identify with it. But if you kind of make a giant alien bug with a gun on it, and it's based on like a shellfish, and that's something people understand. And they actually have a real world visceral reaction. Yeah.
Okay.
But they also have
of course.
emotive reactions to it. Like my I think my Swarm Lord, based on a spider body, and like you got all the arachnophobes out there going, why do you put that on there? So yeah.
Yeah, that is something that did not spring to my mind at all because since I'm a little kid, my father was very conscious about such problems, and my sister and me, we do not have any arachnophobia or fear with snakes or anything like that because he, at a very young age, he took us out in nature and showed us everything and showed to us that these creatures are not harmful to you. But and for me, that
you
is.
don't live in Australia.
Yeah. Oh yes, of course. Well,
You haven't met the Australian versions.
I know in Europe we are very safe. I think the most poisonous spider we have comes close to a bee sting, and you come close to death almost always.
Actual death. Yes.
Actual death, yeah. Uh, yeah, and
we have everything. We've got spiders, snakes, and birds that can kill you. Even the kangaroos can kill you. So yeah,
it
it's
is
great.
Well, to me as a European who was at young age adjusted to the looks of creepy crawlers that do not kill you, I forget a lot of times that animals or articulated animals are kind of gross to people or creepy or scary. To me, they are most of the time fascinating, and
Same. I love them. They're beautiful, and yeah, I love articulated animals. I think that's a great way to call them because I love seeing how they work, and yeah, great.
Yeah, you have all the segments and so on and so forth. What might be another design aspect that you not necessarily do because you creating a whole thing is the aspect of the second edition Tyranids that they are weapons consisting of different animals that are fused together in a very horrific way. And that is something I might get to someday again or have planned out. What was a shower thought of me today, because you are not only a mecha fan, you are a proper mech enjoyer, as far as I can tell from your work. And what popped to my mind was that the huge bioforms actually could be a biomech suit for a Tyranid alien to put in there. Especially the synapse creatures, that you have a more potent psychic alien basically sitting in a suit that it can work, based off the idea of the dominatrix, where you have the grayish alien sitting up in the throne while controlling this giant epic monster.
Yeah. I haven't got there yet. I'm still. I've kind of. My Tyranids grew from a kill team, and I really enjoyed them. So I'm on the way to a 40k army now. So I'll probably get to one of those giant bugs. I'm watching Modern Synthesis build his
It is a
dominatrix.
dominatrix, yes.
Yeah. And that looks glorious. So yeah, I'm working on the was it the Dimacaron at the moment?
Oh yes, you're just jumping to it. Your happy little accident.
I was just started on it. I didn't feel like painting this week, and I get like that, and I just don't want to paint anything, and I just pull out the milliput, and I had that figure just sitting again, another one of the weird miniatures. Um, and it was big. It's pardon me. It's a big boy, and I got it very cheap again. So it just saves you so much time. Like whereas Mr. Pink is doing the sculpt right from scratch, pretty much. Um, yeah, over sculpting something that's already there. So pretty much I don't have to sculpt the hands and feet, and all the anatomy's kind of in place, and I just chop it up and repose it. Just saves so much time, and yeah, so that's going to be really fun. I want to get into that probably next month. I'll get moving on that
I'm looking
a
really
bit more.
forward to that, to see your progress on that one. I mean, it already looks very much finished, only a few gaps to fill in, and the nice idea.
Armor plates. It's got to have armor plates. It's got to have,
Oh,
get those sort of Tyranidy touches. I'm going to try and get it a bit more Tyranidy looking than I usually do, like using some of that Tyranid design language with the rib cages and stuff. But yeah, going like everything I do, put my own spin on it because I don't like the Games Workshop design. So redesign it,
yeah.
and yeah.
That is well, the corporate identity of Tyranids is something I also struggle with. The concept of, oh, they have to have three pair of limbs and have to look a certain way. It really does, well, it is okay in the sense that you want them to look like an army, but they are not an army. They are just organisms optimized to kill and feed. So I do not really see the need for a corporate identity, and I but occasionally shout at High Fleet Moloch when he apologizes that one of his creatures does not fit the corporate identity of Tyranids because it is a way much out there flying squid or anything like that. I'm like, do not apologize for that. It is
No, you
there's no
need
need to
more of
do
that.
that.
Yeah, no, that's what frustrates me. But because there was a big gap in my I've only really recently come back to the whole Games Workshop 40K stuff. Like after 20 years, at least 30-year hiatus. I gave it away after they ruined Epic. It's like, well, I'm not going to collect another thing. Um, and yes, I've kind of come back to it, but back in my day, like the rules were really a lot more fluid, like you could create your own vehicles and there were rules for generating your own vehicles and I was never into 40K when the Tyranids came in. But even then there were some additions there where you could make your own kind of weird Tyranids as well. And it saddens me that that's all gone by the wayside, and it is kind of like very rigid army listing sort of stuff. I understand for game balance it's probably necessary and stuff, but it does, you know, um, yeah, you should be able to make your Tyranids run on tentacles than they do on hooves or something like that. Yeah, and that's the fun of them too. You can just for customizing, you can do so many wonderful things with an animal, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
and to the
especially.
core.
Just
Sorry.
please keep talking.
Oh,
I talk enough on this show.
oh, okay. I was just going to make a point to your the corporate identity thing, and yeah, I definitely shy away from that. You know, the football team look of Tyranids, where they're all sort of like wearing the team jerseys and they're all in the same color. Like, I treat my lot more like a zoo or like an ecosystem on it. Like that's how I imagine them. They're like the on a death world or something, and they're the animals that just live there, and you come to their planet at your peril, sort of thing. Yeah, that's how I think of them.
Yeah, that is always a very interesting starting point if you are a person that does or is okay with the Tyranid look up overall, but wants to give it a personal spin. Just be on the lookout on how animals adjust to their surroundings and what in their color scheme, to be very simple, or in their physiology changes. So you can put a just a minor twist on their look, but they will look so much more as so much better, like the aforementioned Quarantine Miniatures does. He just puts little, very tiny fins on them and gives them more round fish-like eyes, and the effect of it is very much creepy and alien-looking, like the Tyranids are now. And
Yeah,
it is always a good starting point, and a lot of well adjusted Tyranids like the Catachan Devil are more interesting and better looking, which just is another testament to that the Tyranid line right now is not that optimal. I regret it really that I have not saved that one post. I have to get back to Simon for that, because someone made a Carnifex that was adjusted to living in the Underhive, and it was kind of an anglerfish. He
yeah, I think I saw that. I remember looking at that. Like this, yeah. There's so many good ideas. I love, and that's the thing I find. Like I'm kind of new to Instagram as well, and just plugging into that whole community, the kit bashing community, um, and just the breadth of ideas. Like I kind of go insects and shellfish with my guys, but you've got the people doing the eyeless sort of heads on the gene stealers where they're just all like a little teethy bubblegum sort of head, and that looks great. And then you got the people who do them like xenomorphs and um, yeah, and like aquatic themed and jungle themed, and yeah, there's but with the that I love leaning into the whole evolution thing with the Tyranids, because that's apparently their thing. They become the most adapted for their environment, and I can't imagine there's not many situations where everything should have hooves. you know, like the thing that really bugs me, especially, and it annoys me because I left the hooves on my own lictors, is apparently this super stealthy assassin bug of the Tyranids has hooves. So it would sound, every time it's walking, it sounds like there'd be two coconuts being hit together. And I just can't imagine a hoofed animal climbing trees. And it just doesn't, yeah. It bugs me. So every
that
opportunity, if I've got like, if I get an opportunity, I get rid of the hooves. But also there's expediency because I want to get stuff painted and done, and I'm not going to convert an entire like just troop of guys. But yeah, the Gene Stealers got it right. They don't have hooves. It's like they got it right. They're the best looking Tyranid out there.
yeah, well, as we learned from nature, not everything that looks like might have the same origin. So maybe to make a weak argument for the Tyranid hoofs, they are not really hoofs, but made out of a very different material, and they do not sound like hoofs at all. But well, they look very much like it, and as you said, the just the idea of the lictor having hooves is so much out there. Not because of the sound the hooves will make, but he is stealthy and can climb, and hooves are not very good for climbing and moving over flat surfaces. That is a situation that might become very, very embarrassing for a lictor if he chases his prey over ice or something like that.
Maybe they're like mountain goat feet or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Even mountain goats have toes, though, don't they?
Yes, they have the two. I don't know what it is called in English, but well, they have split toes, and yes, mountain goats are just ridiculous in the way they can climb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
that is one point. The other point is the face, and there are two, well, possibilities right now. Either you have a menacing jaw like a predator animal, or you have tentacles in your face. Those are the two options Tyranids players who do not want to be way out there have right now. And another idea would be mandibles like insects. That might have be a possibility to give them a more uh, alien look. Well, if you look at oh well, as when you look at your work, when I think you made a Haruspex from the more pillbug looking. Yes, it is an Haruspex.
Yeah.
Where you
It's a
have
Haruspex. I made it out
yeah.
of a Bandai pillbug toy, and I think it was a Fujimi lobster kit. And there's also some plastic spoons in there and toothpicks and lots of epoxy sculpt. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at that one, you have you did well a nice touch to spider mandibles. The down two parts look very much like that, and then of course it should
Details,
represent
yeah.
a massive disturbing jaw that gets everything in. But lately, in the Oziak Bone Reaper line, we had a Mirkanen, a model with a very silly axe but with a very interesting head, because he really looks like he has mandibles. It should look like a face mask, a bone face mask, but that would be, in my opinion, a good starting point if you want your warriors or your gaunts. Depends on how huge this guy turns out might be, to go maybe in a more insectoid direction when it comes to faces. Also, the Oziark Bone Reaper line is also always a good starting point if you want to look them more xenomorph like, to have this very fluent look between exoskeleton and kinda humanoid skeleton. But well, you have to change the line to get that.
Yeah. I was I've been trying to get hold of the Amble miniature. I
Oh
think
yes,
I don't know where you get that. Was that in it's a Black
Black.
Fortress or something?
It is a
It was an
Blackstone
expansion.
Fortress release
Yeah.
expansion, yes, and that makes it even for the regular folk ridiculously expensive. Even more expensive in Australia for those who might
Yep.
have lived under a rock for the past 20, 25
Yeah.
years. Games Workshop is ridiculously expensive in comparison to the rest of the world in Australia. It is a running joke, but it is not a joke at all. It is very sad how Games Workshop price-wise treats Australia.
Pretty much everything. If you see me build a Games Workshop miniature, I've not bought it new. I've got it on the secondary market, secondhand, in a job lot, something like that. Yep. I kind of it's kind of a matter of principle. I don't like paying full price for Games Workshop stuff. Yeah. that
we
they
we
kind of
we,
pissed.
we diverted from someplace right
We
there.
did. We
I,
did. We did. Let's get to talk about dinosaurs or something else.
yeah, it got a bit. Oh yes, let's
don't
talk.
want to don't
Let's
want to degrade to a Games Workshop bash session.
let's talk about dinosaurs, and let's talk about something that is well, in one case not tabletop at all, and non uh well, non gamey at all, but it would be a crime to not mention your T-Rex build.
The super dinosaur.
The
Yeah.
super dinosaur. I throw it up here when you just the concept. It is it started out as a comic, or
Super Dinosaur is a comic book written by is it Alex Kirkman? The guy that behind the Walking Dead comics, and
okay.
more recently Invincible, that
Yes.
cartoon that is. Yeah, so he's kind of a bit of the brain behind that, and oh man, I'm terrible with names. I know the artist is Jason somebody, but I can't pull the name out of my head. But yeah, the comic book. My son, when he was young, he was right into dinosaurs and giant robots, and I saw this coloring book in a comic shop a few years ago, and I picked it up, and I said, my son would like that, and I gave it to my son, and he didn't like it much at all. So I just hang on to it, and I said, but I have to do something with that one day. And yeah, it took a little bit of searching because I do like doing action figure customs as well every now and again, and I love articulated toys, posable action figures, and I could have done the sculpt over a standard sort of T-Rex figure, but that aren't articulated and everything, but the super dinosaur design with his arms and his guns, it just lends itself to that action figure world. So I had to find the right action figure dinosaur, and the only place to look is the Jurassic Park line. So I found, the Extreme Chompin' T-Rex is the basis of that super dinosaur, and then it was shopping on HobbyLink Japan for the right munitions for the dinosaur, and also I had to find, because I'm kind of lazy when it comes to my building. Like, the less sculpting I have to do, that's kind of my workflow thing. Is if I don't have to sculpt it, I will find a way not to sculpt it. So searching for toys, robot toys, for the arms and stuff, the Super Dinosaur, ended up getting like a Baymax figure off eBay that was really, I think it was broken, it was cheap or something, but I only wanted the arms. So, but there's so much, I used so much of that Baymax figure actually, just using the plates and cutting them down for like the thigh plates and stuff. Yeah, bits of plastic that were just the right curve, from the action figure, just cutting them out and getting them the right curve for the backpack. And so that was, and I wanted to give it that sort of really clean comic booky paint job as well. Like you see in all the sort of the Japanese magazines, the model magazines and stuff. Didn't want to do a lot of heavy weathering on him because he was because he was a cartoon character. So there has been an animated show made of it since then, and they did a redesign for the 3D animation, which isn't as cool as the comic book version, which is a bit more realistic looking. So that's what kind of spurred me on. Like when I saw the animation, because I work in animation, oh yay, they've made an animation of it, and I was so disappointed with how they redesigned him. It's like, um, okay, I'm gonna have to make my own. So that there you go. There's a little look inside my brain, and you can see the motivation for my things. I try and fix the things that frustrate me. So that was it. I think figured the world needed a proper Super Dinosaur action figure.
And
So
you were totally right to do so. I
thank you.
100% agree with you. And after I saw that you made the minigun spinning, I was totally blown out of the water. It was like,
That
uh,
that was a happy accident. I like, and this is the other thing I find, especially like swimming in the Games Workshop Warhammer kit bashing pool of talent out there. It's like so many people restrict themselves to just buying Games Workshop bits and things and miniatures and stuff when the hobby is just so much bigger. You know, so much bigger. Like, especially when you look in Japan, and it's so much better value than what Games Workshop has to offer. Um, yeah, it's horrendous. Like the brilliantly engineered kits you can get from Bandai or something for like $20. I don't think you can buy anything for $20 in Australia from Games Workshop. I don't think you. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, because like a lot of the insect models I use in my Tyranids, they're like Fujimi and stuff, and they're like $20 kits, and you get two insects, and you get like transparent wings and so many bits you can use. Um, yeah, and they do praying mantises and lobsters, and then you get like the Japanese Gashapon toys that, which is the basis for my Exocrine and my Horospecs as well, and they're like you find them for $3 in Japan. They're so cheap. I'm a cheapskate as well. So yeah, it's economically viable for me to make all my own miniatures and do them better in a lot of ways.
yeah,
But yeah, it's just such a yeah. There's so many resources. But getting back to that, the spinning gun, that's a thing that you can buy from uh, Kotobukiya. It's a company. They have this line called modeling support goods, which is kind of like accessories for mecha. Like if you're building scratch building or kit bashing mecha, and they sell marvelous bits. Everything from rivets. If you just want rivets and bolt heads or something, you can buy them from them. But they also have these. They have this couple of weapons that have got these little wind-up motors in them, and one is that minigun, which is huge, but it looks right on a T-Rex. um, and they also have a wind-up chainsaw as well, which would look great on an Imperial Knight. So there you go. There's a tip for everybody. Put wind-up actions on your Imperial Knights. Great.
of course. Just send me the link to the shop after we're done, and I put it in the video description because
Oh, will
while
do.
while you were explaining all that, I was like, oh my god, this this had to be this has to be advertised more there because I already know a lot of people who will go very crazy.
Well, yeah, if you're building like mecha or like if we're talking 40K like AdMech or Imperial Knights, and you're doing kit bashes like you know Japanese Gundam models and Gundam accessories and all that stuff. It doesn't take a lot of work to make it fit aesthetically, because like Games Workshop is actually getting cleaner. They're going more to that Japanese aesthetic. Like I'm surprised at the lack of Gundam kits infiltrating Tau customs and stuff. Like you'd
Yeah,
think
that is
there'd be more.
that is one of the obvious choices if you, well, just look at it quite plainly, that there are a lot of Gundam kits out there that easily would fit the Tau line, or with little adjustment would fit the Tau line and would make for more dynamic posing, because the Gundam kits have very, very good joints and a lot of joints, and that
Yep.
is one of the points where Games Workshop really falls flat on its face when it comes to movable joints and, well, joints that make sense or robot design that makes sense, because every Tau mech right now would snap its ankles immediately by the weight it has to carry. And
Yeah.
talking of mech design, what came up with um, the Grey Knights and has now found its way to the Sister Sororitas is the baby carrier
Right.
design. What are your thoughts on that choice?
Oh, yeah, no. I'm not a fan. Um, uh, Man, I actually look. I misled you a bit. I did get back into 40K briefly um, at the turn of the century, and I decided to collect Sisters of Battle. They just kind of come out, and they didn't have anything in their army list, and I didn't know anything about the modern 40K at the time and how broken the whole game was. And my friend, he was an Eldar player, and he decided to collect Eldar, and he had Eldar, and he had one Wraith Knight, and there was nothing in the Sisters army list that could actually hurt a Wraith Knight. So it kind of made the whole game pointless, and I said, oh, this game is stupid, and just gave it up. But in the lead up to it, I actually we tried to address this point, and I said, "Oh, look, can I just have a Marine Dreadnought or something?" So I built my own Marine Dreadnought for the Sisters. So yeah, I have thoughts about the Sisters and their aesthetic, and it's kind of I feel like it's gotten worse since the 2 decades that I was um, interested in them. I'm not a fan of their churches on tank tracks and things like that. And their mecha it's classic Games Workshop though. Here we go. We're gonna bash Games Workshop again, but it's classic Games Workshop where they steal or borrow an idea from somewhere else. Like the Necrons, they're basically Terminator, you know,
Yes.
exoskeleton dudes. The Tyranids are based on aliens. Um, the the Sororitas mecha suit it's got a similar sort of layout to an Appleseed Gugis, it's called.
Yes.
It's a the manga and the anime Appleseed
Uh,
by Masamune Shiro. Great comic book. All the animations are all pretty average of it, but that Gugis mecha is the pilot sits in it with their legs down the mecha legs. They basically sit in the thighs, and they have these little tiny vestigial arms where the pilot's arms go in, yeah, to control the big mecha suit arms. So yeah, it's just like Games Workshop took that idea, and in classic Games Workshop, they made that idea worse. And it's just like, ah, it's frustrating because it's a good idea, just badly executed. But yeah, the Grey Knights one, that's atrocious. That's yeah.
yeah.
I don't I
Uh,
don't think I can say more about that.
okay. A good friend of mine. Immediately, I did not know Appleseed, and after the uh, sisters mechas were announced, he immediately uh, showed me a movie, an
Yeah.
Appleseed movie, so I can see what the original design was and how it looks like it can work.
Yeah,
And
that's the beauty of like Masamune Shiro's designs. They look absolutely functional. They might have like anti-grav and everything, but they're like um at his height, he was a master because he loved like that sort of gun tech. He like his comics were full of like really detailed like analyses of the weapons that his characters were carrying, and everything was really grounded, and the storytelling was really intelligent. It wasn't just blam blam blam. It was like the characters would be picking very um, unique ammunition for the job. It was like clever SWAT kind of stuff where the characters were actually thinking, and they were good at their jobs because not because they were a sharpshooter or anything. It's just because they had knowledge of their equipment, and their equipment is just so detailed and believable, and his mecha as well. Like, they're kind of like the Gyujus was the military spec of like the civilian, basically, like an earth mover or something, you know. um, yeah, and it's such a good world to, if you can get hold of the comics, they're a good read. They really are. Just for that sort of real gritty, grounded detail.
Yeah.
But and yep. Anyway, I've said my piece.
Yes, you said your piece, definitely. Without getting too roundy about it.
Yeah.
To the same friend who showed me the Appleseed design, okay, now I'm a little bit hesitant. It sounded way better in my head, but now because he is someone who does a lot, and I mean really a lot. He is self-employed, and he, I know the viewership of this podcast is not very big, so I do not raise great expectations. But he has plans and is working to a degree on a Nundem, as he calls it, and that is to make a 3D printable file for the Sisters of Battles in a more Appleseed kind of mech design. So that is something people can look forward in the far future. I hope.
A worthwhile endeavor that has to be done. Yeah.
But
I support that wholeheartedly. It wouldn't be that hard, and this is I think this is what frustrates me, is that it's not that hard to fix these things. It's like, because I'm a working artist, and as a storyboard artist, you're always trying to fix story problems. So you're always trying to fix things, and if something, and often things aren't designed right that will perform how they're meant to in the story. But so many things. I think what's the other, like the Space Marine go-kart. That's what were they thinking?
No, that is
that
a Space Marine Mario Kart.
I know, like, how that was so predictable. Like, how do they not see that? It's like you could have just asked anyone. It looks like Mario Kart. We're going to get made fun about that, and it's not going to go well. I don't know. Maybe they're operating on any publicity is good publicity over at GW. I don't know. So yeah.
I think maybe it becomes more like the process of a big corporation doing something, and you have way yeah way too much hands in the making. There's too many chefs that are ruining the pie. But I do not really think that might be happening at Games Workshop. I'm not entirely sure, because you have very competent people to a degree. Well, Games Workshop has a history of very good molds and miniatures, but also very odd and derpy miniatures at the same time. And that is very consistent when you look at the modeling line. I guess the Chaos Possessed, because before they were redone again and again, were really the best example to look at it. Where you have also Jess Goodwin once in an interview said he would wish that some of the sculptors Games Workshop employed would use a ruler for change, and he was not naming names there, but there is something in the process that still enables this kind of miniature, and why they have not gotten rid of it is anyone's guess, I suppose.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I find it a confusing enigma because
It
you
is.
look at a lot of the stuff that's coming out of in the Age of Sigmar line, especially. You go, wow, that's those are really striking, dynamic posing. The miniatures aren't too noisy, not too gaudy. They look like they could do the thing that they needed to do, but they also have that nice balance between that sort of heroicness and mythological sort of angel wings and all that stuff hanging off them. And yeah, it's just and then you get the Sisters of Battle power armor, mecha suit or whatever it's called. And you just go, wow, it made it so far, like through prototyping, and no one said that looks a bit weird. And the fact that the new one with the dress looks better,
Yes.
just because it's wearing a dress and hides the crimes almost, So yeah, and
Well,
that's a silhouette thing. That's a
yeah.
character design. That's a fundamental basics of character design when you look at the silhouette of the thing. And yeah, I don't know how these things get through the keeper. Having worked with big animation companies and stuff. I'm used to that pipeline of executives and everyone signing off on it. And yeah, it's so rare that stupid looking things get through to the keeper, but somehow, like, Games Workshop do it. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
I I think yeah, there is we could go on more, but there is no need to, I think.
but it's sort of like I actually bought like one of my least favorite Tyranid models, and it's one of the few models I've actually bought new from Games Workshop. It was kind of like a spite buy because I hate the model so much. It's the Tyranifex. I hate it. I
Uh-huh.
hate the thing that it looks like. I think it's just awful. I bought it out of spite because I just want to do it properly. That's one of my motivating. It's like I gotta fix this thing, So I'll get round to that eventually as well. It's sitting in the drawer. It's lined up. It'll get done this year, I think. So, yeah.
Good.
But if I was collecting it, if I was motivated enough, I'd probably end up buying a Sororitas one as well, just to fix it. Yeah.
If, um, on another note of Tyranid design and what is possible with Tyranid design in that regard is absorbed alien races, and I talked with Flynnhammer about it a little bit. That we have three representations right now of absorbed races, and that is for one the biowar that is made with orc DNA for some reason. I think it is because the rapid spore production and spore mine production flows into that, which makes little sense to me because orcs are not needed for that trick, and the orc DNA is better suited
It'd
for an assault organism. Then you
Yeah,
have
it'd make
the
more sense if it shot squigoths or something. Squigs. A biovore, like there'd be like a Tyranid version of the squig that shot out of the That'd be more interesting than spore mines in my mind.
Well, if you
But
turn it into a giant
like a big
boar,
version of a ripper.
or a giant a walking boar beetle cannon
Yeah.
in that case, because the boar beetle thrower gun. Oh my god, that's flash borer. That is the correct
Yep.
name, isn't it? Oh, that
Yeah.
embarrassing. I
That's all right.
might have to give my Tyranid player card away now. Um, that is one possibility, and then we have the zoanthropes with our mate
The elder.
from
Yeah.
Eldar, and there's um, the point that big brain means big psychic power, but then the creatures you made it from do not have big brains big skulls at all. I mean the
It seems really inefficient, doesn't it?
yes,
It's
yeah,
it's kind of
or
like taking a mobile phone and turning it into a desktop computer.
if, I think it is just the choice of visibility, just to say, oh, there's the big brain creature, that is the Psy creature, but it makes little sense, or at least if the ratio of brain matter is tied to the psychic power, zoanthropes should be the most potent psychers in the game, or
Yeah,
something like that.
that'd be more interesting. Yeah.
And then we have the Tyrant Guard, the Tyrant Guard, which has some parts of Space Marines DNA used in it, which is by far the best use of DNA. And yeah, there is a lot lacking there, and I think it still is tied to the Tyranid corporate identity that we do not see more of some physical features of the absorbed races, and it is pretty obvious right now after Hive Fleet Leviathan have made its path through a huge orc territory and basically unchanged crushed into Baal with all the same hive creatures they had before. And there is a nice comic out there where you have the evolution, and you have all the different Space Marines and all their different Space Marine armor types, and over time they are fighting all the same Hormagons. It,
Yeah. I think it's I don't know what the marketing side of Games Workshop is. Like I see Tyranids as kind of they could be a real cash cow, you know, for Games Workshop, because they could release a new Tyranids. It's like they've evolved. Like they're doing with the Primaris. It's
yeah,
like the Space Marines have evolved, and it's like, wow, they're the new hotness. And imagine if they started doing that with the Tyranids, and giving us new sculpts and like the sexy new orcs they've released. I think it's coming. I think they'll get there eventually. Um,
that is something that
but this
scares me
just
right
makes
now a
sense.
little bit. I
What's that?
I know that the Tyranids will get at least one new model with the Codex, but that they will get a new model line, yes. But I'm really looking forward to it because of the orcs, because of the Necron model line read. But then I'm a little bit skeptic of what went through the rumor engine right now, and there are some pictures out there of stuff that might suggest that the new Tyranids are going more in the way of what the Death Guard went through, and that would be the worst case scenario for me. That they are going to
Some
look
context there.
more
Like what did?
cartoonish.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. And but the end of the day, I'm not that emotionally invested in what they look like, because at the end of the day, I'm just going to make them how I want them to look anyway. Like, I don't like two-eyed Tyranids. They need more eyes. They don't have enough eyes. So yeah, I'll get round to making them. The thing I found really interesting listening to your podcast with all the interviews with the other artists is how many of them say, "Yeah, I haven't played 40K. Just I don't really play." That really struck me. I thought I was the only one. I play a little bit of Kill Team. I'm trying to play a little bit more of Kill Team, but now I'm on my way to a 40K collection. I figure eventually I'd like to see what the game's like these days. So yeah, but I was really, really interested that a lot of the people you are interviewing are just more in it for the hobby, which I find fascinating, and comforting at the same time.
Oh yes, whatever part of the hobby one is into, rest assured that you are not alone. The trinity of the Games Workshop hobby is lore, building and painting and playing, and you will have people who do all three, and you will always have people who will only flock to one aspect and or a mixture of it. I it is my experience that this is really the case, and there are well, you get some oddities. I am blind to what are the oddities of the building and painting community because I'm in them, but I surely see some uh, people I cannot relate to in the I only play crowd and in the I'm only in the lore crowd. That is something like, okay, you are taking this way too serious most of the time, and sometimes I can relate to it, but because in our time right now, it is very easy to get way too serious about things, and
Yeah, it's a bit nuts.
yeah,
I think that was I got booted off some Tyranid Facebook um, pages because I posted my Exocrine on there because it wasn't Games Workshop.
oh my,
Yeah, it's like the gatekeeping can be insane. I've I was it boggles my mind. I can't understand it. I don't understand it. Like if I was posting it on Games Workshop's
yes,
site, I'd
yes,
understand it. But a Facebook page where it's like, what?
yeah,
You
that
know,
should not be a problem. Well, it,
there's no infringement of IP.
yeah,
There's just bizarre.
the
But
the
yeah,
the internet can be strange and terrifying, more strange and terrifying that Tyranids could ever be or might
yeah,
want
yeah.
to be.
But
um,
by and large, like the kit bashing community in is just so good. Like
yes,
there's so much creativity. Um, pardon me. So much positivity. Yeah, it's just a really nice space to be in. I'm really enjoying it. That you know people really give out positive stuff. And you get a lot of really good feedback and this kind of this wonderful sharing of ideas that is there as well. You go, oh wow, that's really cool. Like I'm seeing Tyranid builds pop up using insect kits now, and the same lobster arms from the Fujimi lobster kit and stuff like that. So yeah, it's great that to get ideas out there and see people using them as well and doing their own spins on stuff. It's great.
yeah, we blasted through an hour
Yeah,
non-stop. We
we're
did.
done.
Great, great final words by you. thank you very much for your time.
You're
And,
welcome. It's been lovely chatting with you.
and good hobbying to everybody out there. And until next time, bye bye.